Hello and welcome. I am Jackie Mott, mindset and empowerment expert, and I am here with you today. We are talking about what do you tell yourself when you are not listening? So we're going to talk about a lot of stuff today. I'm going to start with a little bit of information about who I am and what I do and how I actually got to this place. It's quite a story. It's quite a story. So coming to Boomerang was actually, I have known Bruce for a few years, and he and I worked together. He was actually a facilitator in a group that I was attending and learning from for business purposes. And as soon as he told me about this membership, I was on board. I thought this is absolutely brilliant. And as we go through this presentation that I have for you today, you're going to see why, because so much of my story revolves around belief systems and about the things that I was holding on to that were holding me back, and how I was able to break free of those things and actually start to create a life that was more aligned with who I am, what I desire, and what I actually deserve in my life. So let's get started. So what do you tell yourself when you're not listening? Really quickly, I want to share with you that this actually was a question that played through my mind shortly after we lost my sister in a car accident. And I didn't really know where to go with that. But when that accident happened, I will tell you, the thing that was most jarring for me was this thing that we hear people talking about, where it's life is so short and it can be over like that. We've all heard that story, but until you actually find yourself in those circumstances, I think it's kind of hard to understand how true and how real that actually is. So when that happened, I found myself, I would have been, I think, about 40 years old. And I had built this life, and it was a good life. For all intents and purposes, it was a good life. You know, I had the happy marriage, I had the 2 dogs and the home and the business and all of those sorts of things. So for all intents and purposes, it was a good life. And what I realized when my sister passed was, you know, she still had lots of plans. She still had lots of plans. And I know this because we talked about it. So her car accident, obviously, it was a sudden thing. No one was expecting it. And that was the thing that really hit me. She had so many plans and now she's not here. So there was this piece of me that started to understand and open up to this idea of, if you're here to do something, you'd better get busy, because who knows when this could happen for you, Jackie. So I started to speak mostly initially about my grief. And interesting, because I'd never been a speaker before that. I'd actually been afraid of, you know, speaking in front of audiences, but somehow I was propelled to move forward with that. And this question, what do you tell yourself when you're not listening? It sort of played through my mind one day, and I started to think, wow, that's really an interesting idea. So let's get right into it here. So if you would like more joy, laughter, fulfillment, to understand what's holding you back, to learn how to break through your limiting beliefs, and to stop living at the mercy of your circumstances, you are in the right place. It's for you if you want to build stronger, more satisfying relationships, creating more financial abundance, the kind that you truly desire, have satisfaction and fulfillment in your work, and learn the tools that will propel you towards success, breaking through those things that have been holding you back, taking control of the direction of your life. These were the things that I didn't understand. I didn't understand what was going on. And it does not matter where you're starting. If you are stuck in a career or a business that you hate, you're stuck in unhealthy dynamics in your relationships, if you think that nothing ever works out the way you'd like it to, or you've never achieved what you might call success. That's perfect. That is absolutely perfect. You are in the right place. We're talking about some of the things that might cause those things. And what you might be surprised about is it might not be your fault. I'm going to say that again. It might not be your fault. So stick with me. We're going to keep going here. We're going to have this hour, just you and I. So you're going to focus on you. Grab yourself a coffee, grab yourself a cup of tea. If you're watching the recording, do whatever you need to do to get yourself comfortable. Grab a pen and paper, and please feel free to take notes. If you are with us live, we will have a spot at the end for some Q&A. So write your questions in the chat box, or write them down on a piece of paper. And when we ask for them, just go ahead and speak up. Our agenda for today is we're going to talk about this thing that I call the subliminal soundtrack. Now, we're going to get into that explanation in a few minutes, but this is my terminology for that thing that plays in the back of your mind 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We're going to talk about how it's been influencing your life, your decisions, and the results that you are currently getting. The 3 steps to reset your subliminal soundtrack and get it working for you rather than against you. That was the critical piece in my world, as you're going to see as we go through. So here's where we start. I was a young girl. I was so smart. I was always on the honor roll. I was community minded. I was hardworking and funny and special. People liked to have me around. The future was bright. The world was my oyster. Until one day. So when I was about 16 years old, I came home with the announcement I'd actually found my first boyfriend, and I was so naive and silly, and I didn't understand a whole lot of anything, and had to come home one day and tell my family that I had become pregnant. This blew up my entire world. It completely blew up my world because, and I want to be clear, there is no fault or blame in anything that I'm about to say. It is all about the facts and the things that actually happened that day. I was told by well-meaning loved ones that I had ruined my life. My life was over. That bright future that had been waiting for me was now gone. In a heartbeat, that bright future was gone. I had ruined my life, and there would be no way to recover from this circumstance. Kind of hurts my heart now when I think back to that young girl and how she bought into those beliefs. She bought into that idea that life was completely over. It really does. It kind of hurts my heart now. And if you're in that position, or you know somebody in that position, life's not over yet. Life's not over yet. But here's what happened. All of a sudden, I found myself in this position where there was a baby coming, and I had to figure out how to support myself. I wasn't even 20 years old. I didn't have an education, and the promising future was gone. So there was welfare. That was the option. Welfare and minimum wage jobs. No education. How are you going to support yourself? Welfare and minimum wage jobs. And I'll tell you, the worst part about this welfare thing, the worst part is that it creates a dependency. It creates a belief that you must abide by these rules, and you must not step over here or do this because it's a guaranteed check. It's a guaranteed income. It's not much. It's barely enough to allow you to survive, but it's guaranteed. And if you take the wrong step, you could lose that guaranteed income. And when you've got a little baby to support, boy, you got to be careful. So the dependency that was created from those circumstances was actually really detrimental. Life became about surviving and settling and not about living.
On a scale of 1 to 5, would you give yourself a 5 on achieving what you want in life? If your answer is anything less than a 5, right now, I have something awesome for you. Achieving your goals and living your life at a 5 isn't easy. Most people aren't prepared to focus, stay disciplined, and do the everyday work that is necessary to achieve amazing results. But since you're watching this, then I'm guessing that you're not one of those people. And this is an opportunity that will change your life. Give to Get is a global program that brings together world-class coaching and combines it with empowering masterminds and networking opportunities. We provide 5-star guidance for the price of a cup of coffee a day. To find out more, click on the link in the description of this coaching session.
I want you to hear that. It was about surviving and settling, not about living. There was no fun. There was no chance. There was no, vacations or courses or any of those sorts of things. It was about get my welfare check, support my child, figure out how to live. So what really ended up happening was this created this kind of vicious cycle. I would go from going back to school because I knew that I needed an education, understanding that I needed to break this thing by getting an education because that was the only way to get a good job. And then I would get tired of this barely surviving income. And I would throw up my hands in despair and go find a job. But the jobs that I could find were minimum wage jobs. So I worked in restaurants and bars and coffee shops and ice cream shops. And this cycle kind of went on and on for, I'm going to say about 5 years, maybe a bit longer. But eventually, I finally decided that I had to follow through on this education thing. So I went back to school in mid-20s, stayed there and managed to graduate with honors and my high school diploma. Yay. And that led to other things because all of a sudden now I was qualified, right? I was qualified. No, I wasn't. And I had missed one really critical thing in my own story, in my own thinking. I didn't know what I didn't know. So all of a sudden, this beautiful office job shows up, and it's the office job of my dreams. I've got steady income, I've got benefits, I've got all of these opportunities that are in front of me with a big corporation. And I was making about $1 over minimum wage. But in my current circumstances, I thought, oh, wow, this is great. I can buy fruit for my son in the middle of the month. Wow. I can feed my son properly. Wow. Do you see what I'm saying? This is the mindset that comes from this welfare dependency thing. So I also didn't understand office politics. I didn't know what I didn't know. And one day I walked into work only to have my manager pull me into his office and inform me that he was moving on to a better job with the same company. And the person who was taking over his position wasn't somebody who liked me very well, and I was being given my pink slip. So the thing that I remember hurting the worst about that day was knowing that there would be no fresh apples or oranges in the middle of the month. Knowing that as a young mom, this child was so very important to me, and I could no longer provide him with something as simple as fresh produce in the middle of the month. Heartbreaking. So I went home and I cried and I tried to find another job. I tried very hard to find another job. And because I was not qualified and because I was not able to show some certificate or diploma or degree, I couldn't find another job. So I finally took the chance and did something that I thought was going to take care of all of my problems. I went back to school. I went post-secondary education, and I graduated with President's Honor Roll after about 18 months. And the education that I got was business admin with a focus on accounting. So there, again, here's my opportunities. The world is once again my oyster. I just have to go out there and get it. But once again, I didn't understand what was holding me back. So I took the first job that was offered. I had no idea that I could have gone into an accounting firm or some other place where there would be more opportunities and there would be better money. I had no idea. I had no idea because I didn't know what I didn't know. So I took the first job and I worked there for a while. And then there were some circumstances in the family that caused me to have to leave that job. So I decided to start a bookkeeping business. And once again, we get into this cycle that happened throughout my life. So the bookkeeping business, I started it 4 times. We moved around a bit and I started it 4 times. And I would go through this cycle of, I'm going to run this business. Oh, no, I'm going to go get a job. No, I'm going to go back to the business because I can't manage the job with the family circumstances. And so the cycle was born again. And the result of that was failure after failure after failure. That's how it worked. So one day, I found something that changed my life. It changed my mindset. It changed my way of understanding myself and the world. Now, I don't know if you can see this, but if you can, it is a copy of something called That's Something, How One Man Learned the Secret and Transformed His Life. Now you can too. It's by William W. Woodbridge. It's an old story. It's hard to find. What it talks about is this man who's down on his luck, who goes through this process of learning that there is something within him that could drive him forward. That something is that special quality within him, and he embraces that. And it tells the story of how he does that and what the results are as you go through. So I found this as a result of a business that I was working on with some other people. And I read this every single night for a month. And over that time, I started to understand that it wasn't my circumstances. It wasn't the fact that I had been pregnant when I was 16. It wasn't any of those things. It was my own thinking that was actually holding me back. So it wasn't because life was unfair. And believe me, I had days where I thought that life was pretty unfair. It wasn't because I'd ruined my life. It was because I had bought into those stories. And because I was the one who had created that, that actually meant that I could change it. I could change it. And that blew my mind. It blew my mind. It took a few years to actually break through that. And before that could happen, everything had to change. So at one point we packed up and moved across the country. And that was where my learning in this actually began. Because here's what happened. Nobody knew me. I could be whoever I wanted to be. I was able to finally leave that 16-year-old girl who had ruined her life behind me and start to become who I truly was and who I'd always been. People did not know that I had been this screw up who had ruined her life. They didn't know that. They saw a woman who had packed up a car with her family and moved across the country to take a chance on a better life. They saw someone who walked in the door with a beautiful smile and ready to work hard. They saw someone who was smart and ambitious and willing to do what was necessary. She was good at what she did. And that was who they believed that I was. So that was the feedback that was starting to come back at me, was this, oh, wow, you're brave. You packed up a car on a chance and just drove across the country. No jobs waiting, no home waiting. You just drove across the country to take a chance on a better life. And look what you did. You're brave, you're smart, you're hardworking. Oh my goodness. And this was where the cracks in my old way of believing things about myself started to show. This was where things actually started to fall apart. The truth is, your subconscious thoughts may be the thing that's holding you back, just like that's what was going on for me at that time. I didn't understand. I didn't understand that I was actually this person that I had always been. I didn't understand that I was the exact same person 30 seconds before I made that announcement that I was as soon as I made it. I didn't understand that I was still smart and funny and kind and hardworking and ambitious. I didn't understand because I had bought into this story that my life was over and there was no recovery. So because it's your thoughts that have gotten you into that place, it is also you who has the power to break free if you choose it. So now here's where I want to talk about the subliminal soundtrack. So again, this is my language. I've heard people call it an internal script. I've heard other terms that people use for this, but it's basically this loop of messages that plays in the back of your mind all day, every day. It's created by every relationship, every conversation you ever had, every single experience that you've ever experienced has given you bits of information that you've stored back here on that subliminal soundtrack. And we use that information to create our belief systems about everything, who we are, our value, what we deserve, what we can or cannot do, what is possible in this world. All of that is created by the information that is stored on that subliminal soundtrack. So is your soundtrack positive or is it negative? Is it propelling you toward success or is it keeping you stuck? These are very important questions for us to start to ask ourselves when we realize, just like I did, when I was presented with this version of Jackie that was smart and brave and strong and intelligent and hardworking, that was the stuff that started to break apart, because those soundtrack messages in my case were stuck on this: you've ruined your life, there will be no recovery, there will be no, you had better just adjust your expectations for yourself and what's possible for you, Jackie. You'd better adjust that, because otherwise you're going to be sorely disappointed. Do you see what I'm talking about here? Is it propelling you toward your success, or is it causing you to stay stuck in that place where things aren't possible for you? How can you change it? You just have to make a choice. Are you willing to do what's required to change this, or would you rather continue doing what you've always done and keep getting those same results that have not made you happy? It's your choice. I have no judgment, but you can create the life you desire. And I know this because I have done exactly that. You can have the joy, you can have the money, you can have the love and the self-respect and the belief that you are deserving of everything wonderful in this life. So I'm going to ask you to ask yourself these questions. If you believe that you don't have the resources, or that you should wait for the perfect time, and you are waiting for those resources or the perfect time, if you believe that life isn't fair and things never, ever work out the way you'd like them to, if you believe that you don't deserve to be happy or wealthy or successful, if you believe that you're not smart enough, pretty enough, or capable enough, if you believe any of those things, and you have created your life around those belief systems, isn't the life you're currently living already a huge success? Think about that for a second. If we are basing our lives on our belief systems and you are creating everything from that space, then you've already created the life that actually suits those belief systems. So you're already a huge, huge success. Think about that for a second. That one blew my mind. So now that we've got some clarity on this subliminal soundtrack, how the messages get there and how they impact your life, would you like to talk about how you can change them? Bruce has put his hands up. When you change your thinking, you can change your life forever. So the truth is that we've all been conditioned by our experiences and our relationships. We've been taught things as young children. And again, there is no blame, there is no fault. But we've been taught these things about what we can or can't do, what is possible for us, all of that kind of stuff, sometimes as early as when we're 2 or 3 years old and just starting to understand anything in this world. The truth is that it's not about fault or blame. It is about making a choice. You can make that choice. The truth is, and this one can be hard to swallow, it is up to you. And you are the only one who can do this for yourself, the only one. And here's the good news. Once you know how to do this, it's actually pretty easy to do. It's a system that you just have to understand and get a handle on. And then you can do it again and again and again. And once again, I know this because I have done it. I have faced those limiting beliefs in so many areas of my life and created a completely different way of being. What you need is a very simple set of skills. And once you've learned them, you can use them over and over and over again. We're talking about money. We're talking about career choices. We're talking about what we believe we are worthy and deserving of in relationship, in every area of your life. So you can address wherever these things come up once you understand how to do it. So stop doing what hasn't worked. You've been beating yourself up for years for not being able to get to what you really desire. It's not about fault or shame. It is not your fault, but it is your responsibility to take action and change what's not working. So here are the 3 steps. These are the 3 steps that we use when we are doing a subliminal soundtrack reset. And that is my terminology, again, that I work with my clients and I've worked with myself and friends and so on and so forth. The first step is we need to recognize what's happening. We need to recognize what that message is so that we can then rewrite the message and eventually replace the limiting belief that came from that message with something that will push us forward. So a really simple reframe on this one is we can talk about money. So many of the people that I talk to have picked up on this idea that we've been fed, spoon-fed for years and years and years, that money is the root of all evil. So if you have that belief system, then you are very likely creating circumstances around yourself that are keeping money away. Or if you do come into money, you're going to find a way to get rid of it really quickly because your belief is that people who have money are actually evil people, right? That's the belief. Money is the root of all evil. And here's how we break through on this one. It is actually a misquote. Interesting, right? It is a misquote. The quote is actually, for the love of money is the root of all evil. It's biblical. I don't have the passage in front of me right now, but it's in the Bible. You can Google it and you'll find it. The love of money is the root of all evil. So what that really means is that greed is the root of all evil. Having money is good. Having money gives us opportunities and options that we don't have if we don't. And believe me, I was on welfare for a number of years raising that little boy. So I know what it means to have money and to not have money. The options that are available to me now are completely different. I can help people. I can support people. I can do things just even like sending someone flowers or anything. Do you understand what I'm saying? These don't have to necessarily be big things. I can buy a friend a cup of coffee or lunch or take an afternoon off. I can do whatever I choose to do because I'm now in a position to do those things. So when we keep money at bay, like I did when I had that welfare dependency going where I believed that I didn't deserve, I believed that life was going to be a struggle because that's what had been said to me. Do you see what I'm saying? I believed it would be a struggle because that's what I was told and that's what I bought into. So I kept the money away from me and I lived in that poverty mindset for a very long time. So we want to address those things because you can understand how toxic that thinking can actually be and how it can lead you into those places where you are actually making decisions or not seeing opportunities that might help you to change your circumstances. So are you always struggling with your finances? This is one of those things, our money mindset, right? Stuck in unhealthy dynamics in your relationships. We hear people talk about, I have this friend and she keeps going through the same relationship over and over and over again with a different person. And what we don't really understand sometimes is that that's what she's calling into her world. This friend is comfortable in that specific type of relationship, that specific dynamic. So no matter who comes into her world, she's going to create those dynamics again, or she's going to bring in those people that will bring those dynamics with them. So if you believe that you need to earn someone's love, if you believe that it's okay for someone to treat you badly, if you believe that you deserve to be treated badly or with disrespect, those are the kinds of things that will show up in your relationships. And it is absolutely essential for us to break through those limiting beliefs because those ones will rot your soul. And you will continue to make those choices again and again and again. And you will bring that into your life and bring that into your experience until you do something about that. There must be more to life. This was where I found myself around the time that I mentioned where my sister had her accident. There's more. I knew there was more. I didn't get there until I started to have a really honest look at my entire life. The business that I had created, I wasn't happy in that business, hadn't been for a long time. I had not chosen that career. I had done the choosing of that education from a place of survival. This is what makes sense right now. And then I just kept going, even though I didn't like it, even though I wasn't feeling fulfilled and I wasn't happy. I just kept going. Do you see what I'm saying? You know, there must be more. There must be more happy. There must be more fun and laughter. There must be more sexy. There must be more whatever it is that you feel is lacking in your life. There must be more. So how would it feel to break free of this stuff? Start creating those relationships that are supportive and loving, the financial circumstances that would allow you to take a trip or support other people financially, support a charity that you believe in or a cause. What would it be like to have that? How would it feel? How would it feel to have that life that you dream about, but you feel it's just out of reach? How would it feel? How would it feel to have confidence and joy, laughter and fulfillment? How would it feel? And I'm asking you to really get into your body right now and allow yourself to really play with this. How would it feel to have that relationship that makes you feel fulfilled and honored and cared for and important? How would it feel to have that in your relationships? How would it feel to drive the car that you would like to drive? How would it feel to go to a restaurant you maybe have never been able to afford to go to, or take that trip? And I'm going to share with you, actually, Bruce is on this call, and Bruce did this with me a number of years ago. He brought me up to the front of the class and we were talking about this. How would it feel? And we were talking about being on this trip that I wanted to take. And I promise you, Bruce is he's so fantastic and he's so brilliant, because what he did was he helped me to get into the experience. It was about, okay, so what are you going to see? What are you going to hear? What are you going to taste? What are you going to smell? And that's what I'm asking you to just experience right now. How would it feel to have the life that you've always dreamed of? You can have it all if you're willing to do the things that are required, if you're willing to do the work to change your beliefs. And you know what? I know that you are, because you are part of this boomerang give to get thing. And that is what this is all about. Personal development, learning and growth and becoming. I'm so excited. I'm so excited about this opportunity. I'm so excited that you're here watching this right now and listening to this right now, because I know that you were on a journey of becoming more, becoming something else, something different. You know, there's a quote that's it's attributed to Einstein, and you got to be careful anymore because it's so hard to know. But this quote says, everybody is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it's stupid. Do you see what I'm saying? Our belief systems are so very, very important, and we can change them. That's the beautiful thing. That's the good news. So maybe you're looking for answers to why things never work out for you. Maybe you know that something needs to change. Maybe you're tired of feeling stuck. All of those things we are here as your providers, as your coaches, as your mentors. We are here to help you to break through all of these things. And I'm so, so glad you made the decision to become a member, because this is the stuff that we are pumping out for you. The other people and myself are pumping out for you all the time. So do you want to feel confident, beautiful, like you're making a contribution to the world? How would that feel again? How would it feel to know that your presence on this planet actually changes something? Have you ever thought about that? Have you ever thought about what you and only you are able to bring into this world? If you're willing to change what isn't working, you're willing to do the work, here's where we get started. So step 1 is recognize what's playing on your subliminal soundtrack. Step 2 is to rewrite the messages that are holding you back. And step 3 is to replace your current limiting beliefs with the messages that will propel you toward your desires. It sounds so simple, and it really is. It's not hard to do. It does take some work, and sometimes it requires that you have some support as you're going through this. So I'm going to share with you right now on my website, jackiemott.com. There is an article that I've written for you, or an ebook, or whatever you call it. It's called 5 Steps to Create a Mindset Wired for Success. So it will walk you through in more depth. It will walk you through these steps and help you with that. And of course, if you would like some support or you need some help with any of this stuff, I am here. I am happy to work with you. You can also book a call with me just by going to bookacallwithjackie.com, and we can get on the phone and discuss whatever it is that you're getting stuck on and look at some options to help you work through that. So the truth is, my friends, you are already a huge success. You're already successfully creating a life that supports your current beliefs. So what if you changed your beliefs? What could happen for you if you changed those beliefs? That's the question that we start to ask ourselves. So I've got another quote here that I'm going to share with you. This one is actually from Alice in Wonderland. And she's talking with the Cheshire Cat in this particular quote. She says, "Would you tell me, please, which way I ought to go from here?" "That depends a good deal on where you want to go," said the cat. "I don't much care where," said Alice. "Then it doesn't matter which way you go," said the cat. "So long as I get somewhere," Alice added as an explanation. "Oh, you're sure to do that," said the cat, "if you only walk long enough." So what that shows us is that we need to be purposeful in our intentions and in our beliefs. We need to believe that we are capable of things that will bring those circumstances, whatever they may be. One of the big ones that I hear about is money. That's a big one. Also about belief in self and what we deserve and what we're capable of, and all of those sorts of things. Those are the ones that I work with most. We will get somewhere. We will always get somewhere as long as we keep moving. The question is that somewhere a place that you actually would like to be? That's the question. So if you believe that you deserve financial abundance, that you deserve healthy, supportive, loving relationships, if you believe, this one is fun to play with, that you are stronger, smarter, more capable, and more potent than you ever realized. Potent, my friends. Get the energy of that word. It is, it's so generative, and there's strength and creativity and all kinds of wonderful, juicy stuff just in that word. So what if that's already inside you and you just don't know it yet? What if you just haven't discovered that part of yourself yet? What could you do? What could change in your life? So you have a couple of choices. You can keep doing what you've always done, or you can change the limiting beliefs that have kept you stuck. And again, I know that you fall into this category if you are here with us, because you're here because you want to do that personal growth and to break free of the things that have held you back. So again, our 3 steps to reset your subliminal soundtrack: recognize what's playing, rewrite the messages that are holding you back, and replace your current limiting beliefs with messages that propel you toward your success. So that, my friends, is our screen share. So I'm going to stop sharing now. And there we go. So, Bruce, you are with me right now. I wonder if you've got any thoughts or questions about what we've just gone through. I know we've gone through it pretty quickly.
Absolutely fantastic, Jackie.
Thank you.
Absolutely admire your courage and your inspiration to share your story with us, and to share it so frankly and so openly. So one, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Two, it's funny, listening to you, I wrote down real people sharing real life stories to help you grow. And that's really what it is about with our coaches, our mentors, our experts here at Give to Get is really that real people sharing real stories to help our members grow. And what a great example of that in terms of what you did today. And I remember that time when when I did ask you to come to the front of the room. And it's so powerful that when we can do that and actually get in touch with our five senses. I mean, God gave us our five senses for a reason. And that was really to get in touch and start our imagery going, to your point, that if you can see it on the screen of your mind and you believe it. You know, you kept coming back to that, Jackie, too. The other thing that jumped out for me, because I've always said to people in life, you get what you believe in life, you don't get what you want in life.
Yes.
So, and here's a classic example, you know, what do you believe? Recognize it, rewrite it, and away you go. So congratulations. Just so thrilled to have you as a member of not only Give to Get, but a member of the, I'd call it the personal development team, the content development team. And just really excited about the movement we're on. We are starting a movement. We're only a few months into it, Jackie. I keep saying to everybody, not only who are members, but people like you who are delivering the content, you know, where we're going to be 2 and 3 years from now, looking back, it's going to be an amazing journey. And I wrote that down too. You talked about being on a journey to become more. And again, that's a very powerful statement, because that's what Give to Get is all about, is helping people go on a journey to get more of what they believe by giving more to other people. Because you know my philosophy there, we're always meant to serve others. It's about serving others that it will come back to us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So thank you.
I'm so grateful and honored to be part of this, Bruce. As you know, when we first talked about this, it took about 3 seconds for me to jump on. But yes, absolutely. So that's something. Can you see that? It's a little bit hard to see.
Yeah.
Highly, highly, highly recommend this, because this was really what started my personal development journey, was that story and the people that I was involved with at that time that shared this with me. It started to crack open this, like, wow, maybe I could. What if I could? And you see that, just that starting to shift. It's such a beautiful place. It's like the birthplace, right? And we all know that sometimes the growth process can be messy and painful. You know, if we think about a seed, the seed has to completely self-destruct in order for the plant or the tree to grow. Completely self-destruct. So this is what we have to do. We have to look at these things and say, wow, look at what I'm thinking about. And the other beautiful thing about the process that I walk people through is we don't even have to necessarily get into the yuck of it.
Nope.
We don't have to go there. We can, as long as we can recognize what it is, that's all we have to do.
Yeah. If we can recognize it, then we can rewrite it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's really quite simple.
Yeah. I always say, though, you have to go through the complex in order to arrive at the simple.
Yes.
But to your point too, and you said it a number of times throughout the presentation, Jackie, you have to go through it, which means you have to be willing to go through that process, because the learning is only on the other side.
Absolutely.
The learning is not guaranteed on this side. It's having to go through to the other side. That's where the learning is. And so to your point, you've got to be willing. If you're not willing, you'll keep shrinking back to what you've always done. And it really is. And I like that term too. It really is shrinking back as opposed to growing forward.
And it's so easy to do, right? Because that's your comfort zone. It's what you know.
Yeah.
It's what you know. And you know, that devil you know versus the devil you don't, right? So taking those steps to break free of those things, it's you have to have some courage. You have to have some courage.
I mean, I'm going to get a little biblical here too, but I mean, even in the Bible where Moses brings the Israelites out of Egypt to the Red Sea, and they're literally standing at the edge of the Red Sea to go through it. And that's a pretty scary thing from that point of view. A lot of them saying, you know what? It wasn't bad what we had back in Egypt. Even though we were in slavery, it wasn't that bad. Why don't we think about going back to Egypt? but yet, come on, guys, keep going forward. But to your point, it is so easy to go back. It is so
Sure.
easy to go back.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's a real choice, and you have to be prepared for setbacks, but to keep moving forward, because I mean, we had that Cheshire Cat quote, and we're going to get somewhere.
Yeah.
When we are purposeful in our intention, when we are purposeful in our beliefs about where we're going, you'll get there.
Yeah.
You will absolutely get there. It might take some time, but I like to say, even baby steps will get you there.
Yeah. And I think it's critical with what you just said too. There will be setbacks along the way, because that's some of the growth moments. And for those setbacks not to stop you, that you keep going forward regardless of the setbacks.
Yes.
It's okay to have the setbacks. It's okay to learn from the setbacks. It's okay to keep going. It's not okay to allow the setbacks to stop you.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's where your support network, I think, comes in. That's where something like this, what you guys have put together for us, is so brilliant, because it's community.
Yeah.
So when you do have a setback, who's there that can, talk you through it, or grab your hand and pull you back up, or whatever it is, who's there?
Yeah, that's what Boom Nation is all about.
Yes.
As we continue to build that community.
Absolutely.
Well, super, Jackie. Again, thank you very much. Really excited about you being part of the program now, and just looking forward to the future.
Thanks so much, Bruce. I'm glad to be part of things.